situation in life is temporary. So, when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. With this beautiful quote, students, a very, very fresh good morning to each one of you. Hope you all will be safe and sound. Dear students, today we shall study from Viva publication, chapter number 18, that is the gerund. What is a gerund? A gerund is a noun formed from a verb by adding ing. Since it is derived from a verb, it retains verb characteristics. Here the meaning is gerund does the work of both verb as well as noun. So here students, given the example, I shall read now. Reading is my hobby. The word reading functions as a noun and is the subject of the sentence. At the same time, it suggests an action, that is to read, which is the characteristic of a verb. It is a noun with verbal nature. That is, gerund is a verb plus noun. It does the function of verb also as well as noun. Now let's go for the second example. My children like skating. So here in the second sentence, the word skating functions as a noun and is the object of the verb like. At the same time, it suggests an action, that is to skate, which is the characteristic of a verb. It too is a verbal noun. In simple words, students, reading is my hobby. What is my hobby? Reading. Subject of the sentence, rest all predicate. Here, a naming word. What is the name of that hobby which you like? That is reading. Second one, my children like skating. What my children like? So, skating. Skating, name of an activity or a particular game. So, here, students ask a question to the verb. What is what the children like? Ask a question and then you will get the answer. Let's go further. Now, what they are saying. The gerund is one of the three non-finite verb forms in English. So we are talking about the three. In that three, one is gerund. They are saying what are we talking about? Non-finite verb. As I told you, finite verbs are helping verbs in the previous video again and again. Helping verbs are B-type verbs, they are called as. And we are right now talking about non-finite verbs. Now, what are non-finite verbs? Non-finite means not affected by person, number or tense. When I say person, first person, second person, third person, go to pronoun chapter. You'll get that. When I say first person, I. Second person, you. Third person, he, she, it, the people, they, and all. When I talk about number, then singular, plural. There are still many. Or when I talk about tense, then it will be present tense, past tense, future tense, as well as perfect tenses, as well as continuous tenses. Going to is also there, students. So it is what they are saying, it is not affected, it will remain the same, but auxiliary verbs, helping verbs will change. But these won't change. Non-finite won't change. It will remain the same what it is. Reading will remain the reading only. Skating will remain skating only. Next one. The other two non-finite verb forms are participle and the infinitive. In my previous two videos, you had seen one I had given of participle. It is interlinked with each other. Very, very important verb. When I talk about verb, it is the heart of any sentence. So here, participle, that is a second form. Over here, I'm not talking about V1, V2, V3. I'm talking about non-finite verbs. The first one in this particular paragraph is gerund, second one is participle, and third one is infinitive. Infinitive, in that we have two subgroups, where that is 2 plus v1, that is infinitive, and the other one is bare infinitive. When I talk about participle, then present participle, that is base form v1 having ing, and the other one we have past tense ending with d, ed, t, and many more other. Be careful not to confuse a participle and a gerund, as they both are ing words. Students, make a box where gerund is given in the previous paragraph, and where participle is there, and where infinitive. Write 1 to gerund, 2 to participle, and 3 to infinitive, so that you will come to know which are the three forms of non-finite verb. So first one is gerund, second one participle, and third one is infinitive. So again I'm coming back to the next para. A gerund is an, make a bracket over here, students, with your pencil. A gerund is an ing, that is continuous word. Ing verb that functions as a noun. Now make another bracket for the next line. A participle is an ing verb that functions as an adjective and so describes a noun in the sentence. Close the bracket. First bracket will be from a gerund is an ing verb that functions as a noun, and now close the bracket over here, and the next bracket, a participle is an ing verb that functions as an adjective and so describes a noun in the sentence. Close over here. So please properly open and close brackets. Do it and understand both the terms. Give an example. I shall read. A vacuum cleaner is a machine used for cleaning. For what a vacuum cleaner is used? For cleaning. For is what? Preposition. Ask the question to for. For what? Cleaning. So here cleaning is gerund. Used for what? For cleaning. You got the answer. Naming word for that activity, for what it is being used. Next sentence. I need to buy a washing machine. So here a participle describes machine. Which machine you wanted? Washing. So describes the word machine, which you ask to the question to the noun, and you will get the answer. Washing. So you got it. Which machine am I talking about? Washing machine. So washing will be participle, that is present participle. We also have ing words that are the names of things. These are plain nouns and should not be confused with gerunds or participles. Every building here has 9 floors. So what is building? Building is just a common noun. So don't take it as a gerund or a participle. Given over here in the bracket, the name of a structure and a plain noun, just a common noun, nothing else. Noun functions of a gerund. So let's describe about it. The gerund functions as what? Here 4 rules are there. First one, a gerund functions as a subject. Second one, a gerund functions as the object of the main verb. Third one, a gerund functions as a complement of a sentence. And fourth one, a gerund functions as the object of a preposition. So let's come to the first rule. Gerund functions as, first one, the subject of a sentence. So it can be a subject of the sentence. Given example, laughing is considered good for health. What is considered as good for health? Or what about what are we talking in this sentence about? We are talking about laughing. So here laughing is a subject and rest all predicate. Next one, praying will not help you now. What will not help you now? Praying. So praying is again a gerund over here. Students, take a pencil, underline laughing and praying and write gerund over there. So I'll complete that sentence. Praying will not help you now. You should have studied for the test. So praying. So what will not help you now? Praying. So praying is what? A gerund which functions as noun. Next one. Next rule, the object of the main verb in a sentence. So gerund can play the function of an object of the main verb. Let's see how. I don't like castle verb, which it is like. I don't like what? Cooking. So cooking is gerund. Mahi enjoys what? Cycling. Catch the verb enjoys and ask a question. Mahi enjoys what? Cycling. So here, naming word again. So here they are gerund. Now let's see the next rule. The complement of a sentence. Complement. What is a complement? Again, I shall give a hint. To complete that sentence, if that particular word or words are being removed, word or more than one word, if words are being used, if they are removed, then the sentence will be incomplete, and to complete that thing we use some few words and they are called as complement. Let's see, I'll give you an example over here given in the text also. Couple's favorite sport is. If the sentence was only till is, will it be a complete sentence? No, not at all. And to complete that particular, they are using the word skiing. So skiing is what? Name of the game. So your couple's favorite sport is skiing. So skiing is the complement over here. And it is a complement, but at the same moment it is a gerund, a noun, naming word. Next one, Neha's hobby is. If the sentence was only till is, will it be a complete? No, not at all. And to complete that, shopping is being used. This particular word is being used. Now, if that particular, then it gives a proper meaning to the sentence. Neha's hobby is what? Shopping. So, shopping is a name of an activity also. So, here it is a gerund. Next rule, the object of a preposition. So, here the next rule is that a gerund can function as the object of a preposition. So students, what you have to do in the example, you first have to underline or understand what is the preposition, and then you have to ask the question. Let's see. They accused him of stealing cash. They accused him of what? Stealing. So underline stealing and write gerund over there. Next one. Please submit your assignment before leaving. So here underline or understand before is the preposition. Right over there, students, don't get confused. In the above, of was the preposition and stealing was gerund, and in the next one, before is the preposition and leaving is gerund. So do write that properly. So when I catch the preposition and ask the question, please submit your assignment before when? Before leaving. So I get the answer, and so that is the object of the preposition. So underline leaving and write gerund over there. The gerund has some other noun functions too. Not only one work, it can do more. Let's see, what are they? The gerund may be modified by the possessive form of a noun or pronoun. So here what they are saying, the gerund may be modified by the possessive form of the noun or pronoun. So here next to the possessive form, what will be there? A gerund would be there. Let's see how. I did not like Meena's criticizing Raja. So here what she didn't like? Meena's criticizing, how she was criticizing, opposing Raja, or telling him not to do this and that, about whatever dislike about Raja was that she was criticizing him, and so she was telling him about him, so she didn't like. So here Meena's is what? Who's criticizing was going on? So Meena's. So Meena's is the possessive case, and next to that criticizing is the gerund. So underline criticizing and write over the gerund. Next one, you must appreciate his what? Trying. So his is a possessive case. Okay, and trying is gerund over there. So going further, see here we have subjective case also, we have objective case, dative case, and many more other nominative case and many more. So here we are not going in that chapter right now. It is just to understand his is what? Possessive case in object. Okay, you must appreciate what? His what? Trying. So trying is the object of the sentence. So you're going further, trying, what you'll write? over the gerund you are going to write. Next one, it can be used as an adjective like a noun qualifying another noun. Let's see how. He uses a walking stick. Stick by itself is a noun, students. Now, gerund does the function of a verb as well as noun. So, they are saying noun qualifying another noun. So, walking is also a gerund, which is a noun as well as a verb. So, underline walking. So, here he uses a stick. Which stick? Walking. So, here underline. Naming word. Which stick am I using? Walking stick. So walking can be a noun also, walking can be a verb also. So here. So they had told over here it can be used as an adjective like a noun qualifying another noun. So it can be used as an adjective. So which stick? Walking. Next one. Would you like to go to the swimming pool? Which pool? Swimming. So underline swimming and write over the gerund. Next one. A gerund may follow an adjective or determiners. Determiners can be articles, it can be possessive case, it can be an adjective, it can be an adverb, and so on. So in the video of determiners or in the textbook also it's given. Go through the definition, you will come to know. Examples are being given, and still you have doubt what's the video of determiners, you will come to know. Next one. So a gerund may follow. Follow means to go behind someone. So here an adjective or determiner. So you can see over here, I shall explain. My job requires frequent traveling. So traveling is a gerund. My job requires what? Traveling. So here how? Frequent. Frequent means again and again. So underline or square out frequent and or write on the top of frequent determiner, and traveling is gerund. There was some fighting. Even if some is not written, even if frequent is not written, it's understood, but you are giving more a better meaning to that sentence, and so you add some words. There was some fighting before the enemy surrendered. So surrender to give up. Okay, and here let's see, some is determiner over here and fighting is gerund. Next one, after a lot of, underline a lot of, that is a determiner, and cheering is gerund. After a lot of cheering, after cheering, the audience finally settled down. After a lot of cheering, the audience finally is settled down. So both are correct. So here an extra thing being told about that gerund. Let's see. After a lot of cheering. So here after a lot of what? Cheering. So here a lot of is a determiner and cheering is gerund, students. Okay, the audience finally settled down. Now we shall start page number 116. Verb functions of a gerund. Let's examine some characteristics of the gerund that give it verbal nature. First rule, a gerund may take a direct object like a transitive verb. Whenever we are talking about transitive verb, we get in some sentences direct object, but in some sentences we get both, that is direct and indirect objects also. Now here let's see first rule. A gerund may take a direct object like a transitive verb. So what it will be? It will be having a direct object in that particular sentence. So let's see. Learning German may be difficult. Learning what is difficult? German. So I got the answer. I had to ask the question to the gerund and I can get the object. Learning what is difficult? So German, I got the answer. Learning what? German. German is the direct object of the action expressed in the gerund learning. Now here, students, if I'll ask what is difficult? Learning is difficult. Learning what is difficult? German. I got the answer. Both the answers I got. So now by what only I got? So both are what? Direct objects only of the sentence. But learning over here we are doing gerund chapter. So it is a gerund of the particular sentence. Let's see. It functions as a gerund in that particular sentence. Next one. They use an electric heater for cooking noodles. Cooking what? Noodles. Noodles is the direct object of the word cooking. Let's see. They use an electric heater for what? Cooking. Cooking what? Noodles. I got for both. What I had asked the question to, once for gerund and once for. Okay, for what? Cooking. Then for cooking what? I got noodles. I got the answer for that. And it is a what? Doing the function of verb a as well as a noun. So please be cautious. Next one. Like a verb, it can be modified by an adverb. So here nothing in the particular sentence before the after the gerund, what will be there? An adverb will be there. Let's see. There is great benefit in talking how politely. So here there is great benefit in talking, underline talking, write gerund over there. How politely, underline or square out politely, write adverb, so that there won't be any confusion and you'll understand. Next one. I hate playing badly. I hate playing how? Badly. Badly is adverb and playing is gerund. Next, we'll go for gerund and infinitive. What is the difference between a gerund and infinitive? We shall do that. Often a gerund can be substituted by the to infinitive form of the verb without changing the meaning of the sentence. Now, what is the meaning of substituted? Substituted, interchange or used. Like, for example, if I don't have a blue dress, I can go for a red dress. If I don't want coffee, I'll go for milkshake or something else. So instead of that, so here what the rule is, often a gerund can be substituted by the to infinitive form of the verb without changing the meaning of the sentence. So here what, instead of remove the gerund and instead of that you can write the to plus v1, that is infinitive. To dance, to play, you can use. Give an example. I like walking. So the same sentence you can make it, I like to walk. So please underline, take a pencil and underline walking and write gerund on the top of that. And I like to walk, underline to walk and write infinitive on the top of that. Next one. The child started crying. Now in this, underline crying. So and write gerund over there. The same sentence, the child started to cry, underline to cry and write infinitive. Means nothing. You have to just pick up gerund and you have to write infinitive. And if it is told vice versa, then you will be doing the same. You'll remove the infinitive and you'll write gerund according to the instructions given. Next one. At other times, the meaning of the sentence changes when we substitute a gerund with an infinitive. So here what they are saying, the sentence meaning also can change if you substitute a gerund with an infinitive. Let's see how. So here on page number 117, example is given that how the meaning can be changed when a substitute, a gerund with an infinitive is used. Given, I shall read now. I remembered taking the keys. Here the meaning is what? The speaker recalled that he had taken the keys. Now, students underline that taking in the first sentence and write on the top gerund. Now we shall go for the second sentence. I remembered to take the keys. Underline to take and write infinitive. Now, what is the meaning in the second sentence? The speaker remembered that he had to take the keys. In the first one, what? He had taken. But over here, he remembered in the second sentence. What? That he had to take. He had not yet taken and he has to take that. So here, first one, he had taken, he remembered. And in the second one, he has to take. He had not yet taken. So that is the difference between both the sentences. So the meaning changes. Here it is. Next one, we shall go for on page number 117, meaning of gerund phrase. Now, what is a gerund phrase? A gerund phrase is a phrase that usually begins with a gerund and may be followed by a noun or pronoun as its object or complement. So, what they are saying? It is a phrase which usually begins with the gerund. So, starting what? Would be, most probably would be a gerund and may be followed by a noun or pronoun as its object or complement. So, depend on that. Let's see how. This may or may not be followed by an adverbial. So, an adverbial may be there or may not be there. That also they are saying. Now let's see. We are using phrase. Keep in mind, student, we are not talking of only one word gerund, because in the exam you may commit mistake in the following exercise. So you have to underline a gerund phrase, not only a gerund, not only a word ending with ing. You have to underline a phrase. Give an example. Making a mark in politics was his goal. Just simple ask a question. What was his goal? Making a mark in politics. You will underline the whole thing. But over here, what is the gerund? Making. Making is gerund. A mark is a noun phrase. In politics is an adverbial. So here, next one. Underline, students. Making a mark in politics. It is a gerund phrase altogether. I hope you understand the reason for my being angry. What is the phrase over here? Here the phrase is my being angry. Underline that. Here my is the possessive pronoun before the gerund, and being is over here, that is B type verb ending with ing. Gerund, and angry is the adjective acting as a complement. If I'll remove that angry and I'll make the sentence, I hope you understand the reason for my being, it will be an incomplete sentence. To complete the sentence, angry is used. So it is the complement of the sentence. But the whole phrase is what? My being angry. So underline that and write gerund over there. Next one. A gerund phrase may be, underline, students, and write on the top 1. What it can be? The subject of the sentence. Second one, the object of the main verb in the sentence. Third one, a subject complement. And fourth one, it can also be the object of the preposition. So write 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 things it can be. Now let's see according to the example. Students, over here gerund phrases are given as a topic only. The head topic is gerund phrase. So phrases are given, we have to underline, and these ones will be in the exam also, they will be asked. So here, finding my books took the whole morning. What took the whole morning? So your gerund phrase is finding my books. So that is the subject of a sentence. They may ask you what is the function of that particular phrase. So you have to write subject of the sentence, how it is given. Next one, I do appreciate your coming to my party. So here, I do appreciate what? You're coming to my party. So it acts as a object of the verb appreciate. Next one, the activity Niti loves the most is what? Dancing in the rain. So your complete gerund phrases, dancing in the rain. Now here, if the sentence is the activity Niti loves the most is, it would be incomplete. So it is talking about the subject, that is activity. Which activity? Dancing in the rain. So subject complement, it describes the subject. Next one, Jitu was awarded for what? Now for is the preposition over here. Ask the question, catch the preposition and ask the question what? Jitu was awarded for what? Being punctual. Underline being punctual. And that will be your gerund phrase. So what it functions as? Object of the preposition for. So students, here I have completed the chapter. Go through the chapter, revise it, understand it, and practice well. Thank you. Have a good day.